Have you ever seen images like this one? Or this one? Or maybe even this one? What do all of these images have in common, besides being used in memes about your sleep paralysis demon? Well, they are all examples from an early film movement in Germany. Hi, my name is Bex, and today we will be exploring the topic of German Expressionism. To understand German Expressionism, we need to understand the context of which it came out of. So, let's travel back in time to the late 1910s to 20s. In 1916, the German government banned all foreign films. This, in a way, was kind of a screw you to Western European and specifically American film distributors. See, because of this little thing called World War I, a lot of Western films promoted anti-German themes and archetypes, an issue that would only get worse after the problems of World War II. Not to mention it being incredibly difficult for German films to get funding from banks. So, the German government implemented a ban on all non-German and foreign films. The only problem was there weren't many films or studios interested in telling specifically German stories, with only about 15% of films circulating from 1915 to 16 being German-made. This ban came with a lot of pros and cons. On the one side, political censorship prevents its people from exploring new ideas and cultures and seeing how different countries treat their people and economies. On the other hand, this ban gave German filmmakers more funding and more opportunities to explore their creativity that would never have been produced had they been looking at a wider audience. In a not at all shocking twist, German audiences were not particularly interested in seeing films about love and heroes or action. No, they like to see films about death, destruction, and decay. Filmmakers were tasked with giving audiences what they wanted to see while still adhering to the rules of what they were actually allowed to show. Expressionism, unlike a lot of other historical film movements we see, was not a solely based film movement. Within art as a whole, it can be defined as art that does not depict objective reality, but rather subjective reality through the lens of the artist's own emotional turmoil. Some famous examples from this era include The Scream, Self-Portrait as a Soldier, and Blue Horse. All of these factors led into what created German Expressionism as we know it to film. Some key characteristics of German Expressionism are dark, harsh lines in both set and character design, a hyper-expressive style of acting, and darker themes and tones, as well as a visually jarring editing style. Now, let's get to the actual movies. The two films that are most credited with solidifying German Expressionism are Fritz Lang's Metropolis in 1927 and F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu from 1922. Although these films solidified the movement, The Student of Prague from 1913 is one of the earliest and most famous examples of German Expressionism. Although this era of film was popular literally 100 years ago, we still see the influence of this style in some films today. Some cinema that I would argue draws inspiration from this style would be the 1991 Addams Family, Hellraiser, and, in case you couldn't see it, nearly every single Tim Burton movie. And it's easy to see why modern filmmakers would be inspired by this material. I mean, it's kind of impossible not to. This style is the epitome of modern alternative aesthetics. So, why does all this matter? I mean, why should we care about films from literally over a century ago? One major complaint I've seen lately is Hollywood just producing reboot after reboot after reboot. One solution to this would be not to remake, but to draw inspiration from these old stories. These types of films through a modern lens could lead to an entirely new era of Hollywood cinema. These movies from the past are also important because they were some of the first to come up with tropes and techniques we still use in modern filmmaking. They taught modern-day filmmakers how to tell stories in this medium in an effective way. Lastly, let's not forget how difficult filmmaking was back then. Cameras were cumbersome, sets were hot and often dangerous, Everything was done practically, and with a roll of film, you only have so much time to get the shot just right. Taking all this into account, the passion and dedication these filmmakers from the past have is truly inspirational. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little something about German Expressionism and how beautiful and unique that era of film truly was.